Takže dobrý večer, priatelia fotografie, všetci, čo ste začali november, mesiac fotografie, všetci vieme, že nielen bohaté fotografické dianie sa deje v Trenčíne, ale zároveň sa koná mesiac fotografie v Bratislave, OFF Festival Bratislava, v rámci ktorého je toto podujatie s prievodným podujatím, za čo veľmi pekne ďakujeme. A ďakujeme samozrejme aj našim hlavným partnerom Trenčínu 2026 za to, že tento projekt podporili, že toto mieste, za to, že toto podujatie je streamované. Ďakujeme dnes Radovanovi Stoklasovi za to, že bude fotografovať toto podujatie. Takže ešte raz vítajte všetci. A koho to tu teda dnes máme? Ako vidíte, sú to hostia z Poľska. Je to pani Agnieszka Rajs.
Dzień dobry.
Deň dobrý. A je to zároveň jej kolega Michal Lučák. A ja by som iba na úvod povedala, že sú to členovia zo skupenia Sputnik Photos. Je to pre naše slovenské pomery veľmi inšpiratívne zoskupenie, ktoré sídlí vo Varšave. Toto zoskupenie kedysi dokonca spolu zakladal aj výborný slovenský fotograf dokumentárny Andrej Balco, ktorý tu bol v máji na prvom Fotopondelku. Čiže naozaj pre mňa osobne je toto podujatie veľkým splneným snom, kedy sme spolu s mojím manželom, ktorý žiaľ zo zdravotných dôvodov našich detí dnes zostal doma, tak už dávno sme snívali o tom, že ešte keď sa Fotopondelky konali v Slovenskej národnej galérii v Berlínke v Bratislave, aké by bolo úžasné spoznať naživo fotografov zo Sputnik Photos. Sama som v roku a veľké vítajte aj vďaka Poľskému inštitútu Bratislava a vďaka ich spolupodpore naozaj môžete naživo si užiť týchto fotografov, ktorí pre mňa osobne sú veľkou špičkou v tomto európskom našom kontexte, nielen stredoeurópskom. A čo sa týka samotného Sputnik Photos, je to združenie založené v roku 2006, čiže v tom našom kľúčovom pre Trenčín roku 2026 to už bude 20 rokov, kedy toto zoskupenie funguje. A čo sa týka jeho členov, patria k ním okrem teda spomínaných našich hostí aj Rafal Milách, Adam Pančuch, Jan Břičinský, Karolina Gembara, Maržena Michalik Dabrovská a musím samozrejme spomenúť aj našu spoluprácu v rámci stránky paradise.photo.sk, kde sme vlastne v priebehu tohto roku uverejňovali vybrané profily poľských fotografov a práve jeden z týchto 5 článkov bol práve venovaný aj združeniu Sputnik, kedy som si tak ako vnútorne povedala, že bolo by skvelé, keď už teda sme spracovali spoločne s Piotrom Gaskom a Janou Gombikovou tento profil, ktorý bol teda uverejnený, mal veľké ohlasy, rovnako ako aj ostatné profily 4, tak je to združenie, ktoré je pre nás a náš slovenský kontext veľmi inšpiratívne a som rada, že sa stretávame naživo. Čiže Sputnik Photos získala mnoho cien, vrátanie Grand Press Photo, bola 2-krát finalistkou Hasselblad Masters Competition, je to autorka, ktorá má doktorát z Poznaňskej univerzity. Čiže naozaj, keď aj sledujete jej Instagramovú stopu, vidíte, že vystavuje, prednáša. A teda, Agnieszka, vítajte tu v Trenčíne, alebo teda možno vítaj v Trenčíne. A teda tou je kľúčovou témou sa vlastne zaoberá vplyvom globalizovanej popkultúry a vlastne západných rôznych sociálnych paternov alebo sociálnych vzorov, ktorú vlastne konfrontuje s postsovietskou strednou a východnou Európou. A keby som teda ešte pokračovala, učí fotografiu na univerzite vo Varšave a zároveň vlastne je zároveň aj kurátorkou. Kurátorovala niekoľko výstav v rámci práve už spomínaného krakovského mesiaca fotografie a zároveň pôsobí ako žúri, čiže porodkyňa mnohých fotografických súťaží. Takže ešte raz, deň dobrý, Agnieszka.
Dzień dobry.
A ešte samozrejme druhým hosťom je Michal Lučák. Anežka pôsobí vo Varšave, Michal Lučák za nami dnes prišiel z Katovíc. Katovice sú kúsok od nás. Je to fotograf, vizuálny umelec, kurátor, ktorý vlastne najprv študoval hispanistiku na Slovenskej univerzite v Katoviciach a získal vlastne PhD na našej obľúbenej ITF v Opave v Čechách. Všetci máme veľmi dobré vzťahy a tak ďalej. Naozaj na tom bratislavskom mesiaci fotografie a na OFF festivale sa všetci títo ľudia stretávajú, čiže neváhajte tento týždeň zájsť do Bratislavy, kde vás čaká bohatý program a zároveň počas celého novembra. Keby som ešte spomenula rôzne úspechy tohto autora, vystavuje nielen v Poľsku, ale aj v zahraničí. Okrem teda toho, že je členom Sputnik Photos, vystavoval v Utrechte, v Holandsku, vo Varšave, v Paríži, v New Yorku, čiže naozaj si ctíme, že si našiel čas prísť nás vlastne poctiť svojou osobnou návštevou, preto neváhajte pýtať sa otázky počas prezentácie, stačí prísť sem a povedať tú otázku nahlas do mikrofónu, tak aby ju počuli aj naši hostia, ktorí pravdepodobne teda niektorých divákov máme aj online, čo teda veľmi dúfame. A čo sa týka tém, ktorým sa Michal venuje, tak vlastne skúma ako človek, ktorý pochádza z toho regiónu Katovíc, skúma vlastne vzťahy medzi ľuďmi, medzi krajinou a vlastne medzi nejakou krajinou regulovanou a prírodou divokou a vlastne sa teda venuje tomu, aký dopad má v katovickom regióne tá tradícia baníctva, čo poznáme my napríklad z Prievidze, cez napríklad fotoprojekty Vandy Mesiarikovej a tak ďalej. Takže toľko taký veľmi stručný a zároveň široký úvod. Čiže vítajte ešte raz na Fotopondelku v Trenčíne. A teraz by som už odozdala slovo samotnej Aneške, aby nám porozprávala o svojich projektoch a tomu, čomu sa venuje, prečo sa tomu venuje, ako sa tomu venuje a tak ďalej.
Dzięki. Czy mam mówić po polsku, czy po angielsku?
Chcete, aby rozprával po polsky alebo po anglicky?
Ako?
No, dobre, skúsme teda angličtinu.
Recently, I'm still, or some of them are still ongoing projects, and they belong to two fields. So one is culture, history, and so on. Another one is war and images of war. So the Phantoms is a title that Michał invented, and I'm grateful for that. This project is about museums. I don't know if it sounds very exciting, maybe not. It depends if we like museums or not. But my first high education background is art history, so somehow I still feel a part of this field. And when I 10 years ago, when we with Sputnik were doing a project with museums of the city of Hamburg in Germany, I was working with one of the museums, and they let me in. They let me into the museum storages, and this is how it all started. I was since then I was taking pictures in many different museums in Europe. Mostly, and in the beginning I didn't know that it was just a story about northern Germany seen with shown by museum objects, but then I realized it might be the beginning of something bigger. So in brief, this is kind of something between love and hate relationship with museum. I love museums, of course, but as art historian, as a person who is interested in history, in art, and in preserving the heritage, but from the other side, I realized that this is an institution with history strongly based in colonialism and other not that bright part of our European heritage. So in brief, interiors, and I divided this project into so this is how it starts. It's these are from former colonial museum which doesn't exist anymore, and this is kind of you know shameful history of a museum. These are plaster masks taken of living humans in Africa in the 20s and 30s in the former Italian colonies. Also, this sculpture comes from this museum, and this is a picture I took recently in Portugal, in Coimbra, which is also a country with a very strong colonial tradition. This Portugal de los Pequenitos used to be park rozrywki.
A park of destruction?
Yeah, kind of. Well, that was destruction. Well, that was like model of the world for the kids. It's modern.
Dziecki park.
Yeah, with models of buildings from different part of the world, from different part of Portugal as well. It's modernized, but there are some objects which
Čiže
are...
nejaké zmenšené múzeum sveta v podstate a rôznych kútov sveta.
Yes. I treat I don't think that we talk if we talk about museum, we talk only about museum as a museum. That
it's the picture of the world.
Exactly. So
the global world.
Yeah. So this is we are going to the constructed worlds. The worlds the museum tries to show us, to explain us. So this is another part of this story. And also, this is the museum is about accumulating objects, about excess of the objects. The storages are full of objects which will never be seen. Very rarely.
Yeah, and in fact they teach us the interpretation of the history, and every country has its own interpretation of the history.
Exactly, and also. Yeah, so it also depends of the story that the museum shows us, the history the museum shows us depends on politics, on the country, and so on. So
there are so many points of view in this world.
Exactly. Okay, so this is this part on death is kind of. It's metaphorical death, but it has also some connections with kind of, well, real death, let's say. This figure wrapped in cotton, in non-acid cotton, is, of course, it's not a person. It's a sculpture, but that reminds a human body. So this is why I included it in this part. We have death, a real death of animals, death of real people as well, and also objects that reminds us of death. This is not a coffin, but well, model of house wrapped in this non-acid cotton, but well, I decided also to include it in this part because it reminds a coffin. So, and also this is a toy, a horse toy, but it's kind of scary. So this is also in depth part.
Yeah, another part is the restoration process. And you Polish people, together with Italians, are told to be the best ones in the world regarding restoration of art. So
we have a very strong school of restoration of everything. Let's say. So we are coming to the human. This human is also divided into parts and explained by a museum, and also this part is consists of picture taken mostly in medicine museums, and of course I was looking for objects which are kind of weird. This one is maybe too literal, but I like very much the previous one, and I use it for different purposes. Okay, so this is also this human part. So museum is it is about classification, it is about race, it's about dividing things into parts and so on, but it is also about protection and care of objects, as you said, about this preservation of works of art. That was also the beginning of my work and of my story. It was taken in Hamburg, and of course this acid-free cotton serves to protect the sculptures hidden behind the cotton. And also these are protective material. I like very much these textures and tissues. And the last but not least, the museum as a political institution. It is also, in this case, this is also about protection and care, but this is not protection against, I don't know, air or pollution or something. This is protection against enemies. These pictures were taken in Lviv after the full-scale war in Ukraine started, and these sculptures are, this sculpture is a sculpture by an important Ukrainian, Polish, German sculptor, Polejowski, and so the museum is closed. The collection is hidden, but some of the works stayed, and they are protected that way.
How do you manage to get in so many museums? Is there any grant support? You get one grant support from one source, and then you are able to get in every museum you want to, or how? What was the process behind this project?
The process is looking around, and if I'm going somewhere, I try to get to the museum. If I have any contacts or connections, I ask, can you call this person, or can you maybe you have contacts, and so on. So it's not here. I had a friend in Warsaw who left Ukraine, and she knew people here and there, and she contacted me with them. And of course, my intentions were also very clear. So they allowed me to get into this museum, which was very kind of them, and I thank them. And it also depends on the country. In Italy, for example, it's not easy to get to the museum. They are very much, there are a lot of formalities. It's even difficult to take pictures in the gallery. So with the museum, della Civiltà, which had this former Museo Coloniale things, I was lucky because there was a curator who understood what I was doing, and she let me in. But a year ago, I was in Florence on a residency program for 2 weeks, and I didn't manage to get to any storage place. And even a permission to take pictures in the gallery was not that easy. So, but it was possible. And if you get into the gallery with the camera, they don't care. So, well, but this is how the process looks.
Yeah, the pictures are very clear, very nice, but the story behind is quite complicated.
Yeah, this is also Lviv. Yeah, they are clear. I'm using this museum aesthetics because if you if you check the gallery, the internet galleries of the museum, the objects are photographed in a very specific way. So somehow I follow aesthetics, but yes, that was the beginning. This very clear aesthetics.
And are you going to cooperate within this book with some curators of these
Yeah.
museums to write a text for you for the book, or how was your idea about this?
So the idea, I am cooperating with a curator, with a friend of mine, with Karolina Puchała-Rojek, who is curator in Museum of Warsaw, and she is a curator of photography. And well, so I think this project is in the good hands, and now we are discussing how to organize the pictures, what to choose, what to reject, and
Also going to the Slovak National Gallery.
I'd love to, but we are coming back tomorrow, so maybe next time.
Okay, yeah, let's hope you will manage to visit our gallery. And when speaking about the Slovak context, so some more than 10 years ago, there had been a huge process of digitalization of art. We have the web page called webumenia.sk, where you could see the collections of not only the Slovak National Gallery, but really of the all galleries of Slovakia, all the state galleries. And even my husband, he had been a part of this process. He really, maybe 30,000 of works had gone through his hands regarding painting, graphic design, graphic, and so on. So this is one part. They really had a good technical support to do it in a really... It's black and white. It's more traditional, but it's a nice parallel between your project and then like this Slovak contemporary context. So the project is from the year, I think, like 2015 or 16. So
I have to check.
Yeah, you can check. I even have a present for you where you can check it. So you will see later.
Thank you. I can't wait.
So please, Anishka, continue now with your other.
I will check the time.
I think we are okay with time. You can continue.
Okay. Sorry, this is overwhelming right now, so I feel overwhelmed as well. So this other line of my pictures is of my art or whatever is war, and I will show few projects from the newest one and then I will get to the older ones. This one is a project I made recently, and this is a series of collage of Soviet postcards, propaganda postcards, showing the ideal life of communist country, the new block of flats, the monuments reminding of the victory of the year 45, the pioneers.
Educational process of children, of course.
Of course. And also the monuments of peace and,
Of happy life.
Of happy life, exactly. Of happy, well-organized life. And I combine these postcards with the print screens. I was making in the beginning of the full-scale war. I was terrified at that time, and I was sitting and really compulsively making print screen of messages put on Telegram. And I use them in this purpose. So this is also kind of, in the beginning, it was also a homage to Martha Rosler and her work bringing the war home. She was combining the images of the Vietnam War with beautiful American medium class interiors. In the beginning, I was combining the damaged interiors with this ideal life from the postcards. So that's it. That's kind of irony in this in this combination of images.
It's a very happy project. So how do you cope with such projects in your everyday life? How do you keep yourself positive doing such not really like happy positive projects, or how to call that?
I make breaks. When I feel I have enough, I cut myself for some time from this. And
do you go to nature, or what do you do to relax?
I watch movies. I go to the country house and cut grass, or I'm working in the garden. So this is what I do. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was English. It's Polish, but probably
we can understand Polish. We can read it.
Yeah, happily we are in Slovakia, so we understand each other. So this is a project I made with a friend of mine who is a programmist, and he's a very skilled artist working in AI field. And this that was made in the beginning of this artificial intelligence hype. So we were talking a lot about that, and we decided to work together and around the frame or behind the frame. So we tried to
behind the official frame of the war.
Well, so the real frame is in the middle. The guys who are making.
Čiže vlastne ten pôvodný archívny záber je vlastne to, čo vidíte, tú trojicu mužov v strede, a to ostatné je vlastne už
we tried to check how they extend the image, how they react to what they have in the middle.
Because there is always an official point of view, how the war is depicted in television, in newspapers, and another part of the frame that is not inside the photo. So that's the background of the war, or not the official view of the war. It's like it's been so since the beginning of 19th century, when the first photographers took pictures of a war at Crimea. So we all understand, when regarding the history of photography, that what is the official picture and what is the everyday life of war.
So this is how it looked like. We and of course we compared. We were using this this description, this idea of uncanny valley, which I think is visible in this previous image. And sometimes the images are more or less readable. Sometimes this extension is a bit blurred. I don't think I have a lot of. I don't have more picture, which is maybe a pity, but artificial intelligence is artificial intelligence. It's developing. We would have to check how it would work with the same images right now. Okay. And another project connected with the war, well, this is in fact the first project I made where I was related, where I tried to construct images related to war, but also to the tradition of depicting war in photography, but also in painting. In Poland, we are very much attached to the war tradition, to the uprisings, to well, to the to the lost wars. We haven't won anyone.
But anyway, you have won several wars. We have usually
I wouldn't
Slovakia
say
was
so, but
well, to be honest,
and well, this project is also about dead heroes, about soldiers who are fleeing or running to fight. We don't know that, so there are. I hope there are also kind of well, mysteries in this project, but that it started with the reenactment of the war. We love wars, and we have also a very strong movement of reenacting the war. We have this reenactment groups where people try to reconstruct battles and so on.
Slovak national uprising that took place from the autumn of 2044 until the May of 45, and also in our history, and also like in contemporary times or nowadays. So when there is any anniversary of this, let's say, our participation in the Second World War, there are also many people that like this tradition. There is still a huge monument, and I rarely watch television, but when I visited my parents last time, or not last time, but recently, so the television was on, and there was like photographers and television that was shooting a reportage there, and it's always a military act to commemorate our fights for freedom, let's say, or like our participation in war. Of course, in Poland, it's a country with a much more higher population, which with much more participation in the Second World War and so on. We all know that because you're our neighbors. But like war is everywhere, and unfortunately today it is everywhere.
So my friends say this project was kind of prophetic. I finished it in 2019. It was also my PhD project, and I thought that I am done with war, but actually I am not. So I don't think we have time to watch a video, but it's connected with this project, and actually it's quite funny because all these reenactors, like Germans, Poles, civilians, they walk. They just walk. There is a parade of reenactors, and it's kind of absurd. So yeah. Okay, so that's very briefly, that's my comment on this Robert Capa famous picture. These are like phases of his movement. There is a strong discussion about this picture of Robert Capa. Was it posed or not? Was it taken in this place or another? So, well, that's a piece of to put into this discussion. And the last project connected somehow with the war, and the last one I want to show you. This is the last conversation with academician Sakharov, which was made with Sputnik photos. We were working on the project about post-Soviet republics. I decided to go to Kazakhstan and to document the nuclear polygon in the northeast of Kazakhstan, where over 400 nuclear tests were done. And when I get there, I realized that in fact there is not a lot of traces left. The polygon, well, as an area exists, but there are some constructions, like concrete constructions, there photographed by everybody who goes there. So I decided to dig in the archives, and the story consists of the archival images of some landscapes and of some objects like this heart, which is not a heart but stomach of a dog with hematoma, which was the result of a nuclear explosion. And and also it was not very easy with the archives as well, because most of the archives they were sent to Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So there were some medical archives, and for me it was huge discovery. They let me in there, and I could make some reproductions. And
how much time did you spend there in Kazakhstan to be able to make such a project?
Around a month in total, twice 12, 14 days of work. And there is a book with the images. Unfortunately, I don't have it here because I was traveling with hand luggage only.
But you can see some pictures of this project. You can see tie vlastne zábery z tohto projektu môžete vidieť práve v tom spomínanom profilovom článku o Sputnik Photos na stránke Paradise.sk. I would have another question. So during these months, were you in the contact with the local people?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't do it
of course,
without the help. I had a fixer. I got a contact to a lady who was kind of NGO activist. She was taking care of people who needed legal advice and so on, and she was really very, very helpful. She organized me a lot of meetings, and she introduced me to people, and this is how it went.
And how did you communicate? Do you speak Russian, or were you translating from English? Or
we communicated in Russian, so it was really funny. And I got this contact by a friend of a friend, and actually I contacted her to get a contact to a so-called real fixer. And she proposed me a few people she knew, and then she said that she can also offer her services. She can help. And because this conversation via email went quite smoothly, and she seemed very efficient and nice, so I said, okay, so let's do it. And then she said, well, okay, I don't have a car, I don't have a driving license, and I don't speak English, but we can do it. So I was really terrified, but but we did it, and it was really a very nice cooperation. I was very and she was retired, like around she was maybe my age right now, but I was really scared. I shouldn't be.
Yeah, you always need an optimistic person to cooperate with, and
absolutely, yeah. And she was really she was very nice, and she was really very, very efficient, and she was local.
Yeah, we are sending her a big hello from Trenchin. I hope she is well until now.
Yeah, she is. Okay, so maybe to finish the story, I will very briefly show the project which was shown once during Bratislava Month of Photography.
I think it was in 2016.
Probably,
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
believe.
yeah. This is Warsaw. The title is "This is where the end of cities begins," because I was shooting around in the places where city ends or begins.
Not
This
really.
is infrastructure. This is infrastructure. So the places are hidden. Sometimes they are in the center of Warsaw, like for example this one or this one. It's just it's on the riverbank, but it's not the outskirts of the city. This is. But this one, yes.
And what's the function of that objects you have shown to us?
What was it?
What's the function of that
These are objects
I mean, the globe, for example, or
the globe is sewage cleaning plant, oczyszczalnia ścieków. So the objects are they make the city function. These are sewage cleaning plants. These are elektrociepłownia, the heating plant, the biogas chamber, the
čiže rôzne teplárne a
the-
iné
this,
funkčné objekty, ktoré zabezpečujú energetický chod mesta
water
Varšavy.
intake or whatever.
Alebo nádrž na vodu a tak ďalej, keďže sa to nachádza vedľa rieky.
Okay, so that's all from my part. My recent projects were here.
Ďakuje, Anežka.
Dzięki. To ja przekażę głos Michałowi.
Dobre, otázky na Anežku. Nenechajte si ujsť túto príležitosť. Keď sa chcete opýtať, poďte bližšie, povedzte otázku do mikrofónu, aby sme ju všetci počuli, aj tí, čo sú tu fyzicky prítomní, aj tí, čo sú online. Juraj Majerský, veď ty vždy máš nejakú otázku. Ale už tu niekto vstáva, už ide pán Staník. Vítajte, pán Staník.
I would like to ask whether when you go to the museums, do you know ahead of time what they are going to shoot? Do you have overview what is there, or because not everything is shown on display, many things are in the archives. So do you know ahead of time what's going to be there?
I don't know in advance. In general, I know that I need a picture of this or that, but I decide when I am in there what to shoot because I like it. It looks strange or beautiful or whatever, or it might form a good picture. So yeah.
So usually you are a conceptual artist, that you really prepare a precise concept of your project, or is it like something more intuitive work that is step after step or step by step, like rationally overviewed to continue in the process?
It's more the second, the intuition and checking what is done, what directions are opening. So,
of course, thank you. Otázka ešte? Aha, Juraj ide. Naši obľúbení páni, ktorí vždy majú nejakú otázku, nemusím sa pýtať iba ja.
Good evening. I would like to ask about the museums. You are shooting the museums a long time, and is it step by step and time by time? Is it easier for you to get into the museum? Because, for example, you are well known for that. And for example, if you ask somebody that you want to go to some new museum, which you've never been before, and they found out, oh, Agnieszka Rice, of course you are welcome. Or is it going this way, or still you have a problem? Even
I have plenty of problems. In
okay.
Poland, it work more or less, but in general, if you get into the museum with a tripod, maybe a piece of cardboard to make a background, you will have problems if so. Yeah. Sometimes, if I have good contacts, they let me to the storage as well, but for this, that demands a lot of preparation, and in general, it works if I know someone. If I know someone who knows someone, or maybe if I have kind of a fixer, or just somebody who lives somewhere and knows people and contacts me with other people. It happened once with Museo della Civiltà in Rome that I wrote an email. Well, I used the title of a PhD and I wrote from my university address. That might be helped, but that was only once where I just wrote an email and I was replied, and I was and they got me permission. So in Poland, I have more contacts, of course, and also it's a question of contacts and of. I made a project for National Museum. I was shooting in every storage they have with my friend writer, so who wrote text. So. Somehow that helps as well as a list polecający. Yeah. It works as a reference in Poland, but abroad no. I'm not that well known.
Okay. And which country is your favorite for shooting in museums? Which is most friendly from your point of view?
Iceland. Iceland is friendly. This is a friendly country, and at museum they are also friendly.
Yeah, it's surprising, but natural at the other side. Maybe Italians, because they really appreciate their culture, so they are happy that someone with a good education and a good CV is interested in the art tradition. We all know that the European culture comes from Greek and Roma culture. We all reflect to Aristotle and Platon, so we all know where the basis of our European Union civilization come from. So maybe that's the reason. I don't know.
I don't think that. I think that Italy is not that friendly. They are very bureaucratic. That was just this one place where it went that well. So it was kind of accident, maybe, or an open person from another side of this email.
Yeah, so you always need a shiny day to get in. OK. Ďalšia otázka z publika. Okay, so my question, what's your next exhibition? So where are you going to exhibit your work, in a few months, in a year? So what's your next plans to exhibit? What's your next exhibition or any project or meeting?
We have two exhibitions with Sputnik, so together with Michał as well. In Utrecht in November and in Krakow in April. And next week I'm opening an exhibition about the crystal glass factory, the only one working in Poland. And I was working mostly with the archives there, with the drawings, with the technical drawings, with the design of this crystals, vases, and crystal everything.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of work of Jana Hojstričová. She cooperates with Palomacho. He's a very well-known couple of Slovak artists. She's a photographer. He's a very good glass making artist, and they really cooperate. Every one of them has his own artwork as a photographer and as a glassmaker, and plus they have exhibitions and projects together when they combine photography and glass. And Jana Hojstričová herself, she has several projects reflecting the praxis of museums. So maybe that could be
Okay, so
another nice inspiration for
Thank you.
Yeah. And maybe my last question before we give word to Michał. How do you meet within Sputnik? How often do you meet? What's the in what? Tell us what you can tell us. So how can we imagine such a collaboration of people based in Warsaw? Not all of you live in Warsaw, so how can we imagine that such a collective of people that will have 20th anniversary next year? So what's the process behind this Sputnik Photos Mark?
You know, we work together for almost 20 years, so we know each other that well that we don't need to meet anymore. Which is not true, of course, but we don't meet often enough. That's for sure. But we meet when we have this mentorski. So this is an opportunity to meet every month, which is, well, this is not my case because I'm not teaching there anymore. But recently we meet a lot because of these exhibitions as well. We meet a lot online, of course, because we travel a lot, and Michał doesn't live in Warsaw, Karolina doesn't live in Warsaw as well. So
yeah, this is one of the positive effects of COVID times.
yes,
This
the
online meeting.
possibility, the tools which were developed during COVID time.
Every crisis has some positive results. Yeah. Okay, Michał. So I think this is the right moment to start talking about your project, your work that is also very. Takže naozaj radšej prejdem do slovenčiny, že naozaj rovnako ako Aňuškina tvorba, témy, ktorým sa ona venuje ako fotografka, rovnako pozoruhodný je Michał Lučák, ktorý teda pôsobí v Katoviciach a uvidíte zase, ako on sa ako poľský fotograf, ako pracuje s tým médium fotografie. So, Michał.
Okay, good evening, thank you. So I will stay basically in Katowice, more or less, because I would like to share with you the process of making my latest project that I finished taking pictures around 2 years ago, which is called Extraction in English. In Polish it's wydobycie, and it's basically about the consequences of coal mining in the area where I live and where I come from. But I will guide you through the many different experiences I had that led me basically to this project, and they are spread all over the, let's say, my photographic career I had in the last 20 years already. So basically, everything is rooted in the place where I'm coming from. So I was born in the Upper Silesia region. My mother is from this region, with her quite big family. My father is from a different Polish region, but they kind of match very good when it comes to the traditions, I would say, because they have both of those regions have kind of Protestant German approach to work, which they appreciate work very much, and work is something that defines the human, basically. So the first project I have made was about a coal mining district that was constructed in the beginning of the 20th century for the workers of a new opened mine. And it was in that period that Poland already exists after 123 years of being vanished from the map. But basically the investors were from Prussia. So the money came from today's Germany, which we don't like to remember actually. And there is a lot of problems about it when we try to define the history of the region.
There's the Central Europe history. You can't
Yeah, come
really
on, but
define anything here. So
course,
it's like it's a
but
melting point here.
especially this region that was so rich in coal mine that everybody wanted to have a part of it, you know. So, but this was a very interesting place because it was finally something that gave the people, the working class people, a decent place to live. So my grandmother was always, because they lived there as well, that they had like a toilet, you know, in the flat, so they were like really impressed, everyone, and the community that was built around those places was also something very strong. So like this is, for example, my grandfather's on this table here with my with his mother and father, but they were not coal miners. They were actually, they have a really small shop there in this place. And this is my mother, the one small in the middle, also born there in the flat. So this is like really something that the people were like, my family really comes from there. And in 2003, when I was studying photography for the class of Indrich Streit, who had the photo book course on the second year, I started to take like this classical black and white documentary project about this place again. And it was, of course, not anymore this beautiful district, because coal mining was already a very problematic part of Polish economics, and there was not enough money. So you can imagine that all the buildings were not in the best condition, and there was a lot of unemployment as well during this period. So
Yeah, we have similar stories with the region of Prievidza, Banská Štiavnica, Banská
exactly, so
Bystrica.
this
So
is the
we
same.
we know the context and the results of this big mining project with some social benefits for workers and their families and so on.
Exactly. So, but I kind of managed to get into this very big society there. I met young people, old people, people who suffered this unemployment because of the closing of the coal mines, like here Staszek and Barbara, who were basically looking for coal on spoil heaps where the basically stone from the mine was thrown away. You could also find their coal, and then they sold it to the elderly women, the widows basically, because back in those days, you know, the miner was living like 50, 60 years, and the widows 30, 40 years longer alone. And they had those ovens like this, so they were not, now there is a heating system there, but back then there was nothing. So, and this was my first also experience to work in this, like with people. I had to meet a lot of people to get a lot of contacts. This is the priest, who was a very nice guy. He took me with him everywhere, and so I had, you know, 20 years ago it was still a bit different when it comes to taking photographs, not like now. It's very difficult.
And of course, we all know Jindřich Streit here in Slovakia, and when we know his photos, we see the influence of
Yeah, of course, like the
way
grainy
of
film
yeah
and the grainy negative.
of depicting this social document in a very humanistic
exactly.
way. So
this was something, because I don't know if it's worth to say, but perhaps yes, that back in those days there was not any high school that appreciated this kind of photography in Poland. So if we wanted to make documentary photography, like Czech Republic or Nedopava was the closest one, and already a lot of people from Silesia were studying there, so I basically knew more or less where I would like to go to take photos. So I, you know, tried to cover a lot of different activities,
situations,
but
so
basically also it was street photography. Also, I was like 3 years long going around with my camera, and the people got used to it. And then I had, I like this picture. And then I had an exhibition also there, because it was very important for me that the people will see them on the photographs as well. And I had a very, when we say about the relations with museums. I had a very bad relationship with the Museum of Katowice, who had a place there when I wanted to show the exhibition, because of the building was not in the best shape, and one in a time there could enter only 80 people there. And the director, she thought that will probably no one come. But there came a lot of people because they knew they will see them on the pictures. So we had to make the opening in the front of the church with the priest here. And then you can see we prepared also a wall with pictures that you could take with you if you find yourself there. So this is again Ula and Staszek looking for their photographs, and the miners also. So it was a very nice situation.
It's a very, very good and happy idea that you can come to an exhibition, see yourself, and take a picture with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because for example, last year at Paradise Photo Festival in Banská Štiavnica, there is Micha Bardi, a Slovak photographer, a girl from Trenčín that lives in Switzerland. But she made a project about the miners in the region of Banská Štiavnica, and she really did the documentary project. It didn't take like 2 weeks. We all know how much effort and time you need to do to make such a good project if you want it to be good. So she really did the projects. She was exhibiting it within Paradise Photo. Together with Zuzana Postajová and Eva Benková, with the graphic designer Matúš Lilovský. There was a zine edited or published from this project, and there were also like these miners coming to the opening of the exhibition, and Micha, she had like maybe 20 zines like for herself. And most of them she just gave to the miners because they needed something to take with them to really be grateful to be part of such a project. And you need your picture to take with you if you really invest your energy in some photographer, a woman coming to a mining place, then she wants to take a picture of you.
No, it was really nice also as a thank you, because they were very open, and I was the people from my circle were afraid to let me go there, because there was this, legend that they will steal my camera or something like this. It never happened. Didn't have any problems there. The people were very interested also in me, why I'm doing this, and if I told that my mother was born here, then it was, of course, already I was a part of this whole group. And then, because all of the projects are actually coming from this first one. So the Young Miners project I made in 2009 and 11 was also thanks to the knowledge I got making Nikisz, because there was this law in Poland back in those days that you cannot give job to young men as miners, because you could only move miners from a closed mine to an acting mine. So there was this problem, because in this period there was a very good economical situation in the whole world when it comes to coal. It was paid well. And suddenly there was no one that could work in the mines already, because the average age of the miners was above 40 years old, and it is basically more or less the end of your career underground. So they they reopened mine classes and reopened the mines for guys who were 19 or 20. With also a special program that they could earn a bit more than usual, so they were paid extra money to start the work there. So I started, and there is also I started to investigate this whole situation, and I changed, of course, as you can see, the camera and
The visual style.
yeah, because this was our in Sputnik Mamiya 7 period.
I also have my Mamiya period
Yes.
before my children were born, because
yeah.
now they don't wait for mother to
Exactly.
take a picture with Mamiya.
So I got to know some guys from the school. These are very young men. They are 16, 17, and they are here on the picture going down during their holidays. They could go for 1 month to work. So I assisted them. I had like four young miners that I assisted basically, or this was my plan to assist them in their daily life, in their working life, still in the school, like here, for example. But to be honest, this was a project that I never ended. Like I decided to stop shooting this because there was this problem with most of them that they were losing interest in participating in this whole situation. Not all of them, because like with Krzysztof and Magda, I'm still in contact. This is like nice remembrance picture now for me, because so you know, you invest a lot of time and of course money, and then after 1 year someone tells you that he's not interested anymore. It was very, very frustrating. And also
And
this
what was the reason of their losing the interest?
no, they were a bit older, had different, you know, interests. I don't know, because there was never an opportunity to discuss it. It was like no thank you, and it was no thank you. There was no other option to tell them let's try again and stuff like this. And the other thing was that
Maybe you could have come in some another costume to change the color of your head, and they would have a feeling that, oh, there's a new photographer coming to take some pictures of me.
I don't think it would help, unfortunately, especially that I really wanted to be like a part of their life still in this time. So I really wanted to follow them. But I also made a lot of like architecture and landscape photos of places that don't exist anymore. So still, it's a kind of nice archive for me to work with this till today.
And sorry to interrupt you, but we have also a story here in Trenčín with the previous or very famous textile factory called Marina, and there were really French architects invited here to Trenčín to build a factory. The factory was doing a really long life production process. Most of the fabrics were exported abroad, and of course at the beginning of 90s the factory was closed, and step by step the area lost its famous life. And after several years of fight of people here in Trenčín trying to preserve these really beautiful buildings of a really great architectural value, so they did their best, but unfortunately it wasn't enough, and many buildings of this area were just burned down or totally destroyed, and there's a Kaufland there. So, well, let's shop and let's eat, and that's it. You don't need famous French architects to come to Trenčín. We need Kaufland, and we need to know that beer is 30 cents less than it was a week ago, so you go and hurry and buy your beer there. That's it. It's also the story of Trenčín and also of Slovakia, like the attitude towards our factory tradition, to the archives of photography, archives of these factories. It's also a story here in Slovakia and even here in Trenčín. So.
Yeah, I think it's basically a time of change, and the question is what we like to. We have the same, you know, discussion in Silesia. Like we reject the coal, of course, because climate change and all this huge topic. But on the other hand, this whole process of coal mining that took 200 years or more in this region created the whole culture, and also cannot reject the culture and the traditions that were established during this time. So
Yeah, and you also destruct the family stories if you destruct
Yeah, of
some
course.
production traditions. So it really touches the life of many families and so on.
yeah, but some people are so radical that with the coal they would also like to cancel the whole culture and tradition. So I think there is a lot of stuff worth preserving, and it's going in a good direction, I think. So and it's not that radical, I think.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So those two experiences I had with this, let's say, classical documentary photography led me to a different approach, and it also helped that for some few years I was not living in Silesia. So when I was coming back, I saw some things that were obvious for me when I was living there. And this is always for people who photograph, probably it's obvious that it's not easy to see a good, let's say, a good picture in your surrounding when you live in this. So this is kind of an interesting process to see the stuff that could be also interested for others. And I developed this idea that I came back in 2010 to Katowice, and I started to live in a very specific place that has a bit similar history to Nikisz, where I show you the pictures at first. But it was not a home for a working class, but it was a home for today we could say a CEO of a mine. And especially it was interesting because those houses were built for Americans that bought a huge part of Silesian mines before the Second World War. It was called SACO, Silesian American Corporation, but they didn't live there for long because the Second World War broke, and then the Wehrmacht officers were living in those houses. And then when the communists came, they made those houses for working class people, so they made from one house like this 4 flats for miners. So I ended up in 2010 in a house like this, and it was also a very interesting start for me because this house was crooked very much. Like it was really crooked significantly, so my sons could easily just put a ball and the ball was just rolling down, or the small cars, because the empty spaces that we had left after mining, they are this very typical in Silesia, that the ground is sinking but not in the same level everywhere. So the architecture is very often crooked, and you can see here with this line how it should be and how it is. So it's just like 1 meter, 1.5 meter, and there is like 2 or 3 centimeters difference between those 2 points. So it's but you get used to it very quick, and it's not a problem to live in a house like this. And also
It's a greeting from our mother planet, you guys. Well, see what I can do if you dig it inside of me.
Yes, of course. And there is also this historical context, because you can see that on this place that I found in the house, you have German instructions for the electrician. And also this house was also heated by coal, so it was basically the first time I was personally dealing with coal. And it is a very old house, so you had to burn around 12 tons of coal during winter. So 6 times in winter time I had to shuffle this 2 tons heap back into the place where it was stored.
So
And
it's a good kalokagatia, being a photographer, and then you need some physical activity
oh, of course.
to be
This
all
was
right.
actually when when you have small children like 3 and 1, for example. This was the only moment I could be with myself, and no one was having problems with this because I was doing something
For the
useful
family,
for
for
the
the
family.
family.
So I was listening to music and doing this, and it took me like 1.5 hour, and then I could have shower, and so it was like basically 2.5 hours just for me. I liked it, to be honest. Yeah, so and then so I divided this whole project in some few parts. One was landscape, and we have those spoil heaps that I mentioned already in the Nikish project, when the mine is throwing away basically rocks, but also other materials that were dig out during this whole process of extraction. And and this was the moment when those places were again destroyed. So for decades they were put on the mountain, let's say they were creating a mountain, then the forest was growing there, but then the mines started to sell these areas to private investors, and then they were sorting the materials and using it, for example, for road constructions. So I was inspired by the photographs that came from Mars or from NASA, from the moon landings, and I tried at the beginning just to kind of go into this aesthetics, but it was not successful in my opinion. So then I started mostly to photograph it in color, and all of those photographs you can see here, those places doesn't exist anymore. So you can see here a forest that grown, and like 1 month later it looked like this already. And then I established this method for myself that I was making those landscapes in magic hour or in the full sun in summer without clouds, like at noon, for example, which is the worst, of course, moment for taking photographs of a landscape. But it gave me this a bit artificial look of them. Oh, sorry. And I created a lot of photographs in this aesthetics, which gave me this kind of cosmic view that I knew from Curiosity, for example, from Mars. Then I came back to the photographs of the crooked houses and the architecture that is suffering a lot of the sinking of the ground. So you can see this is very close to the place where I was living. This difference between those two blocks, which is kind of
It's quite obvious, yeah, to see
Yeah.
the movement of the ground or
Yes.
of the underground.
And the
like-
ground is also shaking, so because it brought me basically to this project, I didn't tell you that when I came back to the house that I showed you, we have this tremble of ground very often till today.
How often is it?
It depends if they are working or not in your area. They don't work that much there anymore. But when I came there, it was like 1 time in a week, and it's sometimes even 3 in the Richter scale. So this is like really strong. You can sleep in the night, and it can wake you up. And
How many people do live in this area? How many children, or
No,
how
it's
can
like a lot of, like, I don't know, like 30,000 people in this area.
it's like Trencin? It's a bit.
No, but
Trencin,
Katowice
yeah.
is basically 300,000. But in this area, where you can feel this tremble, it was this part of cities around 20,000 people, I would say. So it was very frequent, and there was already a guy, for example, that was contracted by the mine that was checking the gas installation. So we could only call him, and he just came and was checking if everything is okay. So, like few years ago, there was this big discussion in Orzesze, for example, a city near to Katowice, with this huge question. Either the mine that is there will open a new wall and the people will have work, but the architecture will suffer, or we are not opening a new wall and there will be no work for the people from the town. So this is basically the paradox that Silesia was, you know.
What was the final decision then?
I think they are working, you know, like you said, at the end of the day, the most important thing is money, so. And I also, you know, so I was making a lot of research. This is, for example, the whole city was destroyed. Had the whole street with houses for people living had to be destroyed because the houses were in such a bad condition that there was no other option to renovate them. So the whole street was demolished, and this mine works till today. So I was, you know, making. This is actually the first picture I have made for this project.
And maybe another like curious question. So what are the people like in this era? Are they optimistic? Are they pessimistic? Are they very cynic? Or what's the folklore or what's the character of people
It's very
here?
difficult now to say, like, to easy answer this question, because Silesia is basically one huge town. Like we have a lot, like, you know, perhaps you know Ostrava. So this is like 20 Ostravas all together, in the sense that you sometimes don't know if you are still in Katowice or in Chorzów. Like, for example, the stadium of Katowice football team, GKS, half of the stadium was in Katowice and the other half was already in Chorzów. So, you know, this is this huge organism. And in those 30 years after the collapse, almost 30 years after the collapse of communism, different cities dealt differently with this problem of finding a new idea for themselves. And of course, Katowice, as a capital of the region, from the start has a better start. So there are, of course, parts in the city where people live in not in a good conditions, but in general, Katowice has a lot of money and invests in infrastructure and so on. So if you would go to Katowice, to certain places, the people would say it's okay. We were actually voted the best city in Poland a few months ago, which is completely weird, to be honest. But the politicians, the local politicians went crazy about this idea, and they were so proud of them. I don't know why, to be honest. But there is so smaller cities like Świętochowice, for example. They weren't lucky with the local leaders for the whole period. There is no big industry left there. The architecture is in bad conditions, and if you would go there, you would find a lot of frustrated people. So it's really, it's not, you can see a lot of differences, sometimes just because you were not lucky enough with the local leaders like Świętochowice are. So it's really difficult to say.
It's also here in Slovakia that we are a small country. There are around 6 million people living here. 500,000 living in our capital. That is, like, in fact, very, very tiny. There is another half of million people coming there to work, and that's the similarity that every town has a different communal politics, the system of financing, and so on. Every town has a different mayor that occupies well or not occupies that well about or not take care enough about its people and so on, and we are very lucky here in Trenčín that we are in a very good situation regarding the cultural life, the possibilities of financing the cultural projects, thanks to Trenčín 2026, thanks to our Mayor Richard Rybníček. Many people here in Trenčín are really trying to do their best with the support of youngsters, of young generation, like participating in many projects, social projects. So to be honest, Trenčín is a very lucky place in Slovakia at the moment, and of course there are places like Trnava, which is another good example of like local community and local political power, or how to call that in English. And plus, of course, there are another cities that are in a much worse situation. So we really see this topic or this fact also here in Slovakia, that we are also having hard times in Slovakia regarding cultural life, school system, industry, medical care, and so on. So yeah, we are also in a quite crisis, but it always depends on people, how the locals are able to cooperate together, or if they are, or if they are not, or if they want to, or they just hate each other and fight.
No, but local communities is something that is growing a lot in Poland, I think, and this is a good sign that people are like taking care of their surroundings. So even if the authorities are not able, they can manage more or less. So going on with this whole situation, I also concentrate myself on the mine itself as this point of that connects the underground world with the society that lives up there, and also on the body of the miner and the coal itself, because I also tried to photograph the process of making, or how the coal was created. And this is also when you don't have architecture or buildings, this is how the mining damage looks like in a forest. So there is basically a pound that is killing the trees, which also is an imaginative image of the start of the process of creating coal in general. And this is a wall of coal underground in the mine that was closed 3 years ago. So I also took pictures of this small infrastructure of the coal mines that is used by the miners each day. And I started with those portraits, but then I thought it will be more interesting when we don't see the faces, and then you can concentrate more on the skin and the posture of those men. And it was also very important because this was this moment when I was proposed from the month of photography in Krakow to make a small residential exhibition in Mozak in Re Gallery. And I got a lot of support from Iris Seeking. She was the curator of this edition. And we created together this small show about like the wall of coal and the miner's body, which was actually this initial point for me to really go on with this project. And it was, I tried to find, of course, money and possibilities to go on with it. That's why I made this whole project in parts, because it was impossible to work on everything in one time. And then the next year, thanks to this Krakow exhibition, I was invited by a gallery in Katowice that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. In 2018 we had also this COP conference, which is gathering all the nations to discuss the climate change. So it is every 2 years in different place in Poland, in the world. And back then it was in Katowice. And we were making, I made an exhibition about the air, and that the air can be visible in the winter time in Poland, for example in Silesia, because we burn a lot of coal, and not only coal in those old ovens. So it creates this very romantic, air, foggy, hazy, photographed in magic hour. But then you realize I made also a video installation in the second room of the gallery that you could see where the haze actually comes from. So it was like this clash of this romantic landscape and then those videos, because it was like a 9-channel video that you could see the black smoke coming from the chimneys. A very, very hardcore situation, I have to say, to film this. And the people thought a lot, very often, that I was from the municipality documenting who is the toxic neighbor, and they were like just, you know, screaming from the cars, yes, yes, good that you came, I was calling so many times, and stuff like this. So there was already this, the people were very aware of this whole problem, but I also put myself on this bad side, and there was also this video of me like shuffling this coal into my storage. So it was quite an interesting show. And then the next year I made a show about the consequences in architecture that I already mentioned. So there is this situation that it's not a big invention, but you know, you cannot make a photograph always that you can show that something is crooked or not. So
you don't need to go to Italy to see Pisa. You have it
yeah, there was
directly in
even
Katowice.
there is this beautiful movie you can find on YouTube, which called I think it's called Sicily or something like this, by Barbara Haas from the 50s, and it's about Bytom, the city where this picture was made. And this is basically about earthquake, that we have earthquakes in Poland as well. And she is also showing people in the conditions I was mentioning you. So I had to level my camera to the ground, and I use 4x5 inch camera that everything would be leveled more or less properly. And then I put also those white things that you could relate to, and they were straight, and the frame was straight. So everything that the spaces where the people were working, you could see how crooked it was. This is a library in Ruda Śląska, this also, that is closed already because the building was so crooked that you could not work there by law anymore. And these are this is also very interesting because these are the parts that has to be left from demolished buildings, but they sustain the buildings that remain. So when you demolish a building, you cannot demolish everything. You have to leave the sustainers to sustain the buildings that remain.
Can I have one maybe silly question as a mother? Because I'm a mother of 3 kids. So are there any safe playgrounds for children to play in?
No, this is the problem of photography, because when I'm constantly making pictures like this, concentrating on the problem, and you can see in a row like 15s like this, then you think we all live in a very bad conditions. No, of course there are places that this problem does not exist. It depends on the tunnels underground. But there are certain cities that have a huge problem with this, and it's not, I don't remember that any of the buildings just collapsed from itself, that someone was killed or something like this, but there are certain streets that is very difficult to actually renovate everything, and they will die out, I think. So it's not that it's extremely dangerous, but you struggle a lot, especially when this is your own building and not state building. There are lawyers specialized only with this situation, and I also had some renovations made by the state, by the mines, and this is bullshit. It's not a renovation. They're just coming and covering the cracks on the wall, and they call it renovation. So when you own a house, then the fight with the mine is something very problematic.
Yeah, we had a similar story in Humene, for example, a few years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. There was an earthquake, and there is a very beautiful chateau. I had an exhibition there recently, and you can also see cracks there in the buildings. That, of course, it's a protected building by the state, so now it's in a very good condition. But I know some good friends there living there, and they have a house on almost on out of the center, and also their house suffered from the earthquake. So it is a question that if you as a young family buy a house to live in and suddenly there is an earthquake, so it must be quite a stressful life to live in this
Yeah,
area.
but people, again, money, the land is very significantly cheaper in those areas, and the people buy the land there and build houses there. So, like
it's the question of life, money, and well-being, and
exactly.
yeah.
So So yeah, because we don't have a lot of time probably, so I will just go. Yeah. So as I said, this was also a part of a small exhibition in Silesia, in museums of Silesia. I also cooperated with Grzegorz Szewczyk, who made those objects. It was very interesting, but unfortunately, the guy who was making the objects didn't deliver, as we say now. So only one of them, it should look like this, that the objects would be all around the museum, but I think only one or two were to be saved, and they stood in this area like this. And the one nice thing with my former father-in-law, we met those crooked floor in the gallery. So I will skip it. Bing, bing, bing. Oh, you can see it here. So there was this small white cube, and you didn't know that the floor is crooked. So it was also this very interesting to get the sense of how you can feel, because the people didn't knew that they will go up entering the gallery. And there were all those pictures that were made from a shop and from the library I was showing you before, and the video as well. And yeah, this is also an important point, turning point, because I got a grant in 2021, which was the most significant turning point, because I finally can concentrate during this whole year to make the pictures I wanted through the whole period of time. And I bought myself a car, which is very important because I didn't have, and it completely changed the whole situation. I still have it, and I came with this car here. And also I finally had a situation that I had someone who was calling in my name to the mines, asking if this famous photographer can do this picture. And because I was very frustrated, I got only one time access to do pictures like this, and then for years they rejected me. And my friend, who is a filmmaker, told me that someone should call in my name. So this is like a life hack for all the photographers, I would say. Just ask a friend and tell that you are his producer, and he or she is making this important project. And she was always saying, Marzena was calling, she was always saying that the doctor, the PhD, Michał Łuczak, is making this very important. And they were like, oh yeah. So, and really, this is just a situation of perception of the people on the other side. Then suddenly, because I was very frustrated, because I saw that the TVN, the television, is making a documentary about miners. New York Times was making pictures in Silesian mines, and everybody were making, and I was rejected all the time, and I didn't know why. And then it helped, I have to say. Not everywhere, but I managed to do one more picture of a wall in a different mine, and this is basically the exact place. So this is the wall, and this is 900 meters above this picture. So you can see that people are living exactly there. And there was also another discovery that I didn't photograph, and this was also very interesting for me to do, because I discovered that there was this technology also connected to the sinking of the ground. That you took sand from the sand mines and then you transported the sand to the mines and mix it with water, and this mud basically was transported into the canals that were drilled to make the ground sink slower. And we had, as you can see, this very, very big map of railways that was only created for this reason. And as you can imagine, after 20 years they were not used anymore, most of them. So I, not in one day, but I made around 30 to 50 kilometers, I think, in different places of Silesia, just going through the rails. And this was I think the best. This is a very good idea for tourism, I would say, just going those paths, because it was very, very interesting, I have to say. And of course, some of the places changed a lot already, because we have like roads for bicycles made there. So it's also a nice idea, I have to say. But yeah, this was like basically the last situation I was photographing, and it was also only in March, April I did, in the sunny weather, where there are still no leaves and you can see through and see all those constructions that were left. This was also very important. Yeah, and I was making, a lot of stuff additionally also in digital photography. This is basically how you how they deal with cracks in buildings. So yeah, and this is also a picture of a mine that that the mine doesn't exist anymore. This is in Mysłowice Centrum. So yes, this is Maciek, the curator, but I will not go on with those situations. So as you can see, I divided this whole project in different phases and also in different topics, and then it was shown as one exhibition. And currently I am working with Łukasz Rusznica from Sun Archive Publishing House from Wrocław, and probably in 1 month the book will be already printed, because everything is designed and we are just making printing proofs now, and it's going in a very good direction. So the book will be the definite final of the project.
Fingers crossed for...
Yes, yeah, the most important and difficult process is ahead of us.
I believe. Otázky na Michala? No, poďte sem, pán Staník. Tak prichádza Juraj.
So, my question is about the Poland, but overall. Now we hear that the Poland is really well-running country. Of course, it's a tiger of Middle and Eastern Europe. Your economy is everywhere. It's appreciated how it looks like, and how you are working. Also today, I heard that you are the good example for Germany. So, and now I will switch to photography. If you feel it in photography, or also, or maybe in art, that it's not only about the industry and the development of society, but also if it switched somehow to photography, because we know from the past you had a really nice movies and so on. We also during the socialism phase, it was a lot of popular movies here from Poland. Your culture was really very nice. And if you feel also now that you are moving forward, not only the country in industry, but if the photographer's interest from the people or development or the support from the state and so on.
So I think it's also Agnieszka can say something because she, as far as I know, you are involved more in Warsaw with those topics. I would say that this is an interesting and problematic question, especially for us from visual arts, because we get the smallest part, I would say, from this cake. And the film industry, because of the Polish Film Institute, gets quite a lot of support, although they are still marudzą. And yeah, they are not happy and it's not enough. And the theaters as well, they get quite a nice funding, especially in Warsaw. But there is not a lot of grants for visual arts. We are always a part of a grant for arts in general. And we have now this grant for artists from the Ministry of Culture. So unfortunately, 2 to 5 people each year from photography gets the grant. And there is like 38 million people in Poland, so I would not say it's a lot. We had this grant from the European Union after COVID, but it was a disaster when it comes to logistics and organization. We still remember the frustration about it, and it was and the funny thing is that the person who was responsible for it was promoted to be the main minister of culture now in Poland, so very interesting situation. So I would say in general the situation is better because we also have this common understanding in the institutions that the artist has to be paid when he or she has an exhibition, which was for years not obvious for the institutions. So sometimes it's only symbolic, but you cannot live for it, but still it's something, you know, that is always we are paid for participating in exhibitions, or the situation is a bit better when you are invited by an institution to create a work, especially for a festival or something like this. But as I said, that's why we are, for example, at Sputnik Photos all with PhDs, because we work as teachers in the universities. And for a visual artist in Poland, this is the best and mostly the only solution to survive when you are not working or in a different field or not having a rich family or rich wife, for example. So this is something that gives us an opportunity to earn regular money, and also, which is good because I feel it also working at the university, that we have our internal grants. So you can be supported by the institution, by the university that you work in, with creating an exhibition. I got, for example, for this exhibition, quite a lot of money from my university to make it. So, and the system is so created that this is good for me and good for my university that this exhibition took place, because we are also in the universities are also in competition. They get notes, and based on the notes,
we have the similar system here. Yeah.
Everyone. Then we get more funding from the state or less fundings from the state. But you can add something.
I can add that photography, well, it's developing. I think that's Sputnik Photos somehow helped in development of documentary photography in Poland, but still photography is not always considered as art, not by every curator or institution, and there is no like head institution as Polish Film Institution for Movies, for example. And so money there is not enough money, and there won't be enough money for artists in Poland. This is a completely crazy situation. I observed it for years that a lot of people create NGOs like Sputnik, like we did years ago. Well, to organize something, to get funding for this and that exhibition or workshop and so on, but it demands a lot of work and a lot of energy, and this sometimes this energy expires. And there were also initiatives to create something like Institute of Photography in Poland, but they were not successful. There is an initiative like Center for Photography in the Museum of Warsaw, but now because the present director was involved in photography, but now she leaves, and there will be a new director, and she's completely not interested in photography. So probably the Center for Photography in Museum of Warsaw will not develop or cancelled. Hopefully not, but who knows? And also we had this 8 years of right-wing, very hardcore culture, right-wing policy in Poland, and that was also a disaster for visual arts. I will not develop this topic, but that was a period where the speed of development was stopped. But we have new museums like Museum of Modern Art, which is very good. They don't consider photography as art so much. Well, they do, but also only photography which is which was successful in the West, I'm afraid. Well, we don't know how it's a very new institution, and so hopefully that will also contribute to development of photography as art. Hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because I would say that our situation is even much worse at the moment, but we need to fight and wait and see, but do our best to keep the photography alive, because
and to push them, because like now there is this again, there was a new election in this, let's say, Union of Writers in Poland recently, and but there are much more writers when they are all together, like literature, non-fiction and everything. They are quite a big organization, and they can push with their ideas, but visual arts are so divided, and as Agnieszka said, photography is also something a bit different, because we have photographers in Poland and visual artists who use the medium of photography, which is something different. And for the institutions, the second ones are more interesting, So yeah, because they are more artists probably. But I'm a bit more pessimistic, because if you will not have this institution like a Center of Photography who can go with the ideas as an institution, then it will be really difficult, because this group of visual artists is basically very divided, and in this case we could learn something from the writers, for example.
And this photography market or circle is also a competitive one. So when we apply for grants or for jobs, whatever, we compete with each other. It's not an easy situation, but
photography is a very competitive sort of art, because when doing film or theater, there must be a group of people cooperating together. But photographers, like everyone, lives in his own bubble, and there's the question: what kind of bubble to find to cooperate with? And also in comparison with Poland, we have no art market for photography in Slovakia. Nobody buys photography. So yeah, the situation is very similar, and I would like to say that, yeah, let's be optimistic. Fingers crossed for photography, not only in Slovakia, Central Europe, Middle Europe, but yeah, let's support each other from the all points of world or points of views and so on. So maybe is the last call for the last question. Is there any? Yeah, Jana, please. So you're the last lady question to finish this beautiful evening.
It's gonna be some like man question after me. Okay, hello. So I would like to ask you like more simple question maybe, because I noticed I have like both of you are using different cameras in your work. So I would like to know how do you choose your camera and why this one, and also like how do you think about the outcome, if it's gonna be analog or digital, or if it's gonna be black and white or color. So how do you like? I would like to know more about the process.
Okay, so I will start. So it basically like in my case the form comes always after the topic, I would say, or the problem I want to show. And sometimes it's obvious because like in this mining damage I had to use a camera that has an independent movement of the lens and the negative, or I could also do it in digital, but it didn't have an opportunity to work with this kind of camera, so I did it analog. But it really depends on the subject, and I use now quite often also digital camera, but the recent projects I'm making are also in analog, color or digital or black and white. So I use black and white now mostly when I want to be concentrated on the form and structure, where I don't need the information with colors, and I think that colors also provide a bigger range of atmosphere into the photograph. So of course you can say that there is also this a bit foggy and stuff like this situation here, but when I use black and white it's mostly about the structure. Sometimes I use color in these situations as well, and then I can decide what the main purpose of the picture will be. So this is basically the question of, as I said, what I want to do. Now I'm making a lot of portraits of the skateboarding culture in Katowice, and I started to make the portraits in 4x5 inch, but it was difficult to explain them. They shouldn't move when I fix the focus. So I jumped into the Mamiya 7, but I was too far away from them. So you cannot approach, basically you can make a portrait close like till here. So I bought a Mamiya 6.7, the RZ 6.7, and then it's a perfect camera for this situation, but it took me 2 years to realize what kind of camera I would use for this project. So I'm, as I said, starting to make a lot of digital photographs, but then suddenly I buy another analog camera just to do this one project. So it depends.
Okay, thank you. And Agnieszka, what's your answer to this question?
I'm using mostly a digital camera right now. It's a medium format. It's a medium format camera. I tried to replace Mamiya 7, which became the negatives became so expensive, and the process of developing and scanning is so, well, but maybe not complicated, but so time consuming that I really wanted to switch to digital. And I did. I am not particularly happy with this solution, but for now it's fine. So, and also as you saw, I'm experimenting. I'm working with collage and well, other forms of prints. So the camera is well, it's a tool, and for now, it's this tool is fine.
Thank you. So, I would like to say big thank you for really...
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, with pleasure. Pleasure on our side. I think we had a very inspirative evening. Really, we tried to share our ideas, points of view, ways of life, and so on. And yeah, let's fingers crossed with your projects, with your following live and professional career. Let's keep the fingers crossed for the opportunities for photographers, not only in Poland, but let's say everywhere, in Slovakia as well. And let's have the best tools we can have at the particular moment. And chcela by som sa poďakovať za to, že sme mohli, áno, skončím v slovenčine, v rodnom jazyku. Naozaj ďakujeme, že ste si našli čas, že sme tu mohli spoločne stráviť tento večer. Dziękuję.
My też dziękujemy bardzo. Dziękujemy za zaproszenie.
Wszystko dobre. Wszystko dobre.
Wszystko dobrze.
Wszystkim
Dziękujemy, że
nam.
nas strawiliście.
I że mieliście tyle cierpliwości.
Ďakujeme a pekný večer.